Hello everyone and welcome. If you're new here, hi, I'm Mo. And this year, well technically last year, I spent a truly unreasonable, but really it was reasonable amount of time reading, yelling at characters, and emotionally bonding with characters who will never know that I exist. Throughout 2025, I read stories that surprised me, disappointed me, made me cry, and completely took over my thoughts long after I turned the final page. And tonight, or this morning, or whenever you're watching this, we are recognizing all of that. These recognitions aren't about what was most popular or the most hyped. These are what stuck with me. So grab a snack, settle in, and get ready for categories like the biggest surprise, most disappointing, best romance, and of course, best book of the year. My first award of the night is for biggest surprise. Going into this book, I honestly didn't know how I was going to feel about it. I'd heard how there was several differences between this read and the animated movie. Many of you know I love the animated movie, and I expected something cute and with romance, maybe a little dated, but instead I found myself completely surprised how different the book was from the movie. Not a bad thing, but different. This read is full of adventure, humor, and witty dialogue. The story follows Sophie, a young woman cursed into being an old woman, who ends up in the walking magical home of the infamous Wizard Howl. The award for biggest surprise of 2025 goes to Howl's Moving Castle by Diana Wynne Jones. Runner-up shout-out goes to Isola by Allegra Goodman, another book that captured my attention despite it being from a genre I don't usually read. This next award goes to a book that had all of the right ingredients. The potential was there. There was a promise of drama, power, and divination. I kept waiting for the story to use more elements from the Arcana world, for the characters to fully embrace the archetypes that they were named after. The award for most disappointing read of 2025 goes to The Empress by Kirsten Cast. Runner-up goes to Kiss of the Basilisk by Lindsay Straub, which featured a very immature, wishy-washy FMC that couldn't decide if she wanted the snake or the crown. Family, legacy, and resilience over the course of generations are explored in this next recipient. The story centers around a family plagued by a generational curse that causes one descendant from each generation to fall through time, transported to the past. Set against the backdrop of their family orchard, the novel alternates perspectives from various family members sharing their struggles, dreams, and the impact of the curse on their lives. The underrated gem of 2025 goes to The Fallen by Chantel Madison. Annie by Sierra Greer is another gem that gives a disturbingly realistic example of what AI technology could be used for. Imagine this. You're a young woman who's had a long, stressful day at work, and you just want to get home and figure out your next steps regarding your life. Instead, you come home to find a young child hiding near your apartment and running from his father. From there, every decision, and possibly even your thoughts, could mean life or death. Can't Stop Thinking About goes to When the Wolf Comes Home by Nat Cassidy. Set in 1910s New York, a blacksmith is commissioned to build a tank for a Coney Island sideshow, only to discover that it's meant to hold a captured merman. This beautifully written story blends poetry, song, and art in a refreshing way. Be prepared for moments that will inspire you, because the characters in this book don't let themselves be defined by what they look like, their struggles, or where others think they belong, but by the beauty of their souls. Book that made me cry goes to When the Tides Held the Moon by Vanessa Vida Kelly. This next award isn't about plot twists or world building. It goes to a character whose development and storyline felt just as important as the mystery unfolding around him. This is a character shaped by responsibility, grief, and a job he never truly wanted, but continued to show up for anyway. He's an investigator who's seen the worst of humanity, an engraver who remembers everything. Through his point of view, you learn about the emotional and physical toll of his work, the disturbing cases, the constant stress, the way he exhausts himself just to keep functioning, and the loneliness that creeps in when everything goes quiet. And despite all of that, he remains committed, someone who believes in doing the job right, even when he struggles to see the value in it. Favorite character of 2025 goes to Denios Cole from A Drop of Corruption by Robert Jackson Bennett. The runner-up for this category is Yafwe from The Black Shield Maiden, a young woman forced to make a decision that drove her from her home in Africa to the land of the Vikings, where she holds on to the knowledge instilled in her, faith in her ancestors, and the strength of a warrior to survive, adapt, and claim her path in an unfamiliar world. I enjoy reading romances where there is often a quick and steamy encounter, but every once in a while I need something a bit slower, something where the tension is on a simmer, where the relationship has pages to breathe and the emotional connection matters just as much as the chemistry. On the surface, Dr. Joe seems to have it all figured out. A successful doctor, a trusted voice online, someone who helps others navigate health, intimacy, and self-care. When a long-held confession doesn't go the way she hoped, she's forced to confront everything and unexpectedly meets a man who will show her how patient and tender and healing love is. Best Romance of 2025 goes to Between Friends and Lovers by Charlene Obi. And Covenant with Ezra by Love Belvin is a yearly contender for this category as well. And finally, my biggest award of the night, this book delivered on every level. It entertained me, kept me up late at night, and is an amazing example of mystery, sci-fi, and high fantasy, and storytelling in general. From its storytelling to its themes to its characters, it represented everything I love in a reading experience. Best Book of the Year goes to A Drop of Corruption by Robert Jackson Bennett. And runner-up for this category was When the Wolf Comes Home by Nat Cassidy. If you read any of these books, I'd love to know which ones stood out to you. And if some of these are still on your TBR, I hope that this video gave you a little push to finally pick them up. Thank you so much for spending time with me today, for watching my content, and for being part of my reading journey throughout 2025. Here's to another great year of books, unforgettable characters, and stories that make us feel everything. Until next time, stay safe, be blessed, and remain unapologetically you.